If you knew you were enough, what would your life look like? What would love look like? This is the Enough Factor broadcast, where we're redefining what makes you enough in life and in love. Now here's your host, Suzette.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Enough Factor podcast. My name is Suzette, and I'm your life coach and relationship solutionist, and I help high-achieving women over 40 to redefine what makes them enough in life and in love on their own terms, so they can break the cycle. Y'all, of failed relationships and attract great love into their lives. Now, how do I do it? I do it by amplifying 3 critical factors. They are your voice, your value, and your vision. And this episode is going to do just that. I want you to know that I have found, I gotta admit something to y'all. I've been watching Netflix and I've been really loving Love is Blind and The Ultimatum. Well, my latest guilty pleasure is Married at First Sight. And so I started watching that, and there was something about one of the participants. Well, first of all, let me tell you what Married at First Sight is about. Married at First Sight is that these professionals, a matchmaker, a pastor, somebody in pastoral care, and I think it's a coach of some kind. They all kind of come together and they match people, not based on superficiality, but based on what they feel like are core values that could really match them for long-term, great love marriage, right? And so the people trust these professionals to match them up well, and then they show up for the wedding. I mean, they go through the whole thing. They go through the picking the tuxedo out and getting the wedding dress out and all that. They do all of that before they actually meet the person they're marrying. So when they meet that person, they are at their wedding, standing in front of the officiant, and actually legally getting married. And then after they legally get married, then they, I think, have 8 weeks to live together and will first go through the honeymoon, then the living together. And they decide at the end of 8 weeks whether they want to continue with the marriage or whether they want to get a divorce. And of course, you see the different couples, and some are just a little bit better than others. But at some point, they all have to face that stark reality that they don't really know each other. And so it triggers them. It brings up a whole lot of insecurities. And in this particular case, the inspiration for today comes from a man who was, oh my God, very handsome. I mean, like GQ, like a fitness model kind of. He has those kind of Rob Lowe looks, right? Like he's really, really handsome. And so one of the things that inspired this episode was you'd ask him a question and he would start talking himself into circles until you are looking at the other person saying, what did he just say? I don't know what it was he just said. Right? And it wasn't just his wife that felt like that, but even when he tried to explain to the other men who were all participating in this experiment as well, they'd be like, we don't really know what he's saying. And so he's the inspiration for tonight. And I have fondly termed this as psychodistancing. Now, not psycho like he's psychotic, nothing like that, but this kind of psychobabble, kind of bootleg, psychobabble kind of thing where you kind of sound like you're well-read. You sound like you're really smart, but you really just talk yourself into circles with a lot of psychobabble or a lot of smart sounding, conceptual, philosophical mumbo jumbo that leaves everybody scratching their heads saying, so what are you saying? And I was watching him do this repeatedly. And I thought to myself, that's another way of distancing. That's another way of really avoiding, really showing up and articulating what you really want to say or whatever your fear is. Instead of really saying, I'm scared, instead of really saying it, he'll say something and then follow it up with a whole lot of psychobabble that makes it sound like that doesn't go with what you're saying. It's like, okay, but what does that have to do with this? What does that have to do with you and me? I know you're talking in the clouds, and I know you're making these philosophical, links, but it's like, dude, just say it. Just say the doggone thing. And so he's done this, like, I call it wilderness wandering, where you're wandering around in the wilderness or you're walking around in a circle. You may as well be walking around in a circle muttering to yourself because nobody gets it. And so everybody's kind of looking at you confused. It's like, so you're saying this, and then instead of him saying right, he'll say it. But when he adds his 5 herbs and spices to it, you're just like, oh my God, I got a headache. Oh my goodness. And it's just almost like mixed signals. That same feeling you get from a person that's sending you mixed signals, where it's like, get away closer. Or like, yeah, right. But it's like they still don't get it. It was that same feeling. And so I created a term called psycho-distancing. Do you psycho-distance? Is that your way of putting up a barrier so that people don't see who you really, really are? Is that your way of avoiding the tough conversations? Is that the way you shield yourself? Is that what's really going on? Are you really uncomfortable with being seen? Or are you so used to dealing in a superficial realm that you try to sound smart and you try to sound like you've really done your work, but the truth is you really haven't. And maybe you've read some books and you can talk it, but it doesn't connect. It doesn't truly connect. And one of the things that he kept saying was, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be vulnerable. I don't know how to dig deeper and not allow physical attraction or the kind of attraction that I'm used to. I don't know how to dig deeper than that. And so instead, I isolate. Instead, I run back to what's comfortable for me because I'm very uncomfortable in these waters. I don't know how to be married. I don't know how to show up. I know how to wine and dine, but marriage is requiring me to really show up and take somebody else's feelings into consideration. And right now, all I can feel is what I feel. And I'm trying to communicate it. And I'm trying to help this person to understand by using these terms. But when you really don't understand yourself, it's very hard. It's very, very difficult to express it to somebody else. They look at you like you got 4 heads because the truth is you really don't know how to do this. You don't know how to deep sea dive if all you've been is on the shallow end of the pool. And no judgment, because if that's where you've been even though you want something better, even though you might be a great person and you might have shared core values that would make this person the perfect match, if you don't know how to access that with that person, because you can't get past the fact that you don't feel attracted to them in a way that would give you access to those feelings, then you are kind of in a very tough spot. And when I was looking at it, it was very unclear as to whether with counseling, with talking it through with these different professionals to help, if even with that, if he could access it. Because one of the things I have found to be true, a lot of times we think if we're well read, if we read enough books, listen to enough psychobabble, have the words of something, we think that we have arrived. Because I can explain it, I'm there. But even in his efforts to explain it using this kind of elevated vernacular, it was very, very clear that while he could say it from an intellectual, albeit very challenged intellectual spot, he did not have an experiential way of connecting with himself in that deep way. And so it was very hard for him to really connect with his wife in the way that one needs to be able to connect, because he just kept being blinded by what he could see. And to his credit, I don't think it was just physical. I think there is an energy and a synergy to chemistry that he just wasn't feeling. She was a great girl and all that, but she didn't have that whatever it was he was looking for. And isn't that interesting that many of us want something deeper, but we don't even know how to access that within ourselves? And so when the deeper person shows up, we don't even know how to connect with that person because we have so many barriers. And so even with him trying, and you could tell he was trying, but you can't deep sea dive if you've never done it. You can't do it. You know you want to go on a deep sea dive with somebody, but if all you've ever swam is in the shallow end of the pool, you don't know how. You don't know how. It's like a person in the water and you are standing on the land and they're trying to tell you what wet feels like. And you see them in the water, but you don't have an experience of that. All you have an experience of is dry land. And they're saying, come out here in the water with me, but you don't have an experience of wet. And so it's very hard for you to just do it when you have not been guided in learning how to do that. All you experience when you jump in water and you've never jumped into it is, oh, it's cold. Oh, this is cold. Oh, this is uncomfortable. Oh my God, I don't have any control. I don't have the buoyancy that you have. I sink like a rock because I have not been exposed to it. I haven't been guided in it. I don't know how to navigate in this. And so I get it. I get it. So I don't know what's going to happen with that couple, but I did want to point it out. And that's one of the reasons why it's so very important, I think. If you are seeking something deeper, if you're looking for true love, true partnership, someone you can build with, someone that you can be your best friend, that you understand each other, that you get each other's jokes, whatever it is that you're looking for in a life partner. That before you do these things, even if you're in a social experiment, I feel like there should be some preliminary, that you don't just look for the experts to do all the matching and you're just standing there waiting for the call. It's like waiting to adopt a child, right? And you're waiting for them to call you and to say, we found a baby for you, but you have not read any parenting books. You have not even gotten the nursery ready. You haven't even talked about how you're going to co-parent this child. You don't even know what to expect. You don't even know what kind of formula to give that child. You've done no homework at all for this child that you say you want. And I see that it's evident that these people have not done the self-work that they have needed to do to really prepare them for the lifetime commitment that they've signed up for. And so it really even more reinforced the importance of what we're doing this week in my Love on Your Terms Masterclass. Monday through Friday, we went through a lot of these things with the first two sessions really dealing with the insecurities, the unanswered questions, those triggering things that plague us when we feel scared, those vulnerability pieces. We came right through the gate with that. And then by the third session, we're revealing what that person's superpower really is. And especially for us women, that what our superpower is we can take what you throw at us and surrender it back to you bigger, bolder, and more beautiful, whatever it is, or even more toxic than what you toss to us. We have that ability to reproduce. And so we talk about really taking that ability and channeling it in the right way so we can get the results that we want. And then on the session 4, we dealt with where the good men are, right? Because that's a question. Well, where are all the good men? So we really got into that. And then on Friday night, we dealt with the mindset. We termed it, it's my prerogative, right? But we deal with the mindset of women who are really happy in their relationships, right? And so we dealt with that. And in the whole week, that is exactly where we put our focus. And it's because we want people to really learn to start accessing those deeper things, those core values. Many of them can't even access their core values because they've been conditioned to deal with a certain level of superficiality. They've been conditioned to be accomplishment driven. They've been conditioned to seek validation based on their accomplishments, their achievements, their ability to earn people's affections or earn their kudos. And when that's the way you've been conditioned, a lot of times you have not done the work to really connect with your core values. And so they're not present. Other things really make the determining factor in your relationships. So with this masterclass, we really brought that to the forefront of how out of touch we are with our core values. And that just like this gentleman that was struggling and could articulate because, hey, we're well read. We listen to Dr. Phil. We listen to Oprah. We listen to, Deepak and Eckhart. And we read their books and we listen to all these inspirational sayings that sound really good, but we bring a very superficial and surface understanding to them. So while we can articulate them, we can't live them out. They haven't connected to something truly meaningful inside of us. And so we swim in shallow water, right? And so what we endeavored to do this week was just kind of sound the alarm. We know we can't fix a person or help them in just 5 days. Sure, we can do some things, but a lot of this stuff is so deeply inbred in people that we just wanted to bring it to their attention so that they can require more from themselves, so that they can actually have the great love that they really want to have. And so I was really inspired with this whole psycho-distancing, how we can engage in psychobabble and inspirational speak and deal in concepts and have a philosophical discussion. But you can have a philosophical discussion and still not have a connection to the deeper meaning inside of your own soul. So I wanted to talk about that today in the hopes that it will get you to start thinking and all that. And even though days 1 through 5 are over with my Love on Your Terms Masterclass, you still can participate because we have some bonus sessions that are going on through this weekend through November the 15th, which is Tuesday. So you still have time to listen to the replays, and you still have time to participate in these bonus sessions that are really supplementing and adding more texture and context to what people have learned days 1 through 5. So all you have to do is go to SuzetteSolutions.com. The registration page is still up. Register and you will get immediate access to what we all are experiencing right now in real time. And just so that you kind of know what's coming up, on tonight, I am going to do a special bonus session about how we work with people to help them to dive more deeply and attach to the core values so they can really have the real deal, great love they're looking for, right? And so tonight, I'm really diving more deeply into my Doing Love Differently transformation program. But tomorrow night, which would be Monday, Coach Alicia is going to do an implementation lab. It's titled Terminology, because nothing is going to happen with what has been taught and received days 1 through 5 if we cannot put pen to paper about what our terms are, what awakened inside of us that we can now become guiding principles, standards, terms for how we're going to do love. And so Coach Alicia is going to spearhead that effort tomorrow night. And then on Tuesday night, I'm going to spearhead a bonus session called Dating the Right Way. For many of us women over 40, we've never been taught the correct way, the healthy way to date. Even those that might have dated when they were teenagers, they were just trying to figure it out, right? But nobody really taught them an effective way to truly date. And I know when I talk to women, many of the women that I talk to and that are clients of mine will tell you they've never dated. They've never dated. And so it becomes very intimidating to date when you're over 40, or to date after a divorce, or to know how to really navigate this wonderful technology and these great resources that are at our fingertips. But we don't know how to use them in an effective way. And so I'm going to share with them some insights that I gained when I started dating over 40 that I felt like really accelerated my ability to connect with and to meet my husband, Robert. So that's going to be happening on Tuesday, November 15th. So you still have time. So again, just go to SuzetteSolutions.com. The information will be in the description of this podcast and register. That way you can get caught up on the bonuses and get caught up on the replays. Take advantage of the bonuses and do all that before it all goes away on Tuesday at 12 midnight. So you still have 3 good days to really take advantage. You can listen to the replays, binge watch the replays today, and be ready, at least be ready for Monday night's bonus and be ready for Tuesday night's bonus. Okay? So go on over there and do it and jump on in. The water is really great over here. Okay? Well then, thank you so much for listening. And just in case nobody has told you, I want you to know that you are worthy, you are worth it, you are more than enough. Bye now.
You have just listened to the Enough Factor podcast with your host, Suzette Bernard. To get notified of new episodes or to dig deeper into today's topic, become a subscriber. And while you're at it, tell us how we're doing and what topics you're interested in. We appreciate your feedback and your reviews. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are worth it, you are enough.